WCLN 1170 Radio and Star Communications Channel 16 proudly present the We Should Know Show, an upbeat, informative look at people, places, and issues facing our community. This education-based analysis of issues will remain positive and informative. Now, here's your host, J.W. Simmons, as we consider closely what we should know.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We Should Know is on the air. We want to thank you for being with us today. Each and every week on Tuesdays, we come to you bringing you new information, hopefully some education involved in it. Today, we're excited to be on site in downtown Clinton at a place called Artworks. And we've got the dynamic trio with us today that has made this possible. I'm going to start with Johnny Pridgen. Johnny, thank you for being here. Everybody knows that name. You've got family legacy here that goes back for decades. I want you to just be part of this conversation because it's going to be huge. Dr. Paul Viser. Paul, you're a mover and shaker in Clinton, have been for some time. Over 40 years in medicine here in Clinton?
33. 33.
Yes. Well, thank you for being here and thank you for helping folks. Peter, I want to kind of get just a comment since I'm introducing you last. You're probably one of the most critical pieces here because not only are you an artist, but one of the things, you're a competitive swimmer as well. You have artwork that is shown on the walls we're going to be looking at here. And I want to start with you. What does this mean, Peter, as we look at it in the sense of your background as the curator of this gallery? What does this mean for the city of Clinton?
It's a very special place and it's a very special project. Clinton hasn't had something like this, and I was brought in pretty much when this thing was already a dream of the gentleman on my right, the two gentlemen on my right who dreamed this up and thought, Clinton needs this. That's a Paul Viser quote right there. Clinton needs this. And we have tapped into some of the local talent and presenting it, and our mission here evolves as we think about what's here and what we want to do and what best serves the interests of the town. But I'm very proud to be a part of it, and I've been able to use a few old art connections to get some people to join up with us, and it's been a pleasure to discover some of the talent that's here.
Well, Peter Butler, I want to thank you for being here with us today, and we're going to hear a lot more from you coming up on the show. I want to segue back to Paul Viser. Paul, you've had, seem like in your outside of medicine, you've had some great visions and brought a lot of folks together. And I'm going to put that out up front. And here's the thing. Tell us about this particular piece of activity that has come together and how it came about.
JW, that goes back to 2018 when Sampson Partners, which Johnny and I have been a part of for many years. But in 2018, we wanted to provide a retail location for local artists to sell their work. That seems like a simple thing, but we haven't had that before. We tried to set it up on West Main. The circumstances weren't ideal for the people we were talking to do that. And so now in that space is the Sampson Community College, the annex, and they use that quite a bit. It's a fine piece of property overlooking the city center with the large-scale art in the center of the city. Anyway, and then a few years later, we bought this building off the courthouse steps, and we originally were going to use it for storage for our thrift shop operation. And I don't know, the more we kicked it around, we said, well, let's go back to that art gallery idea. And this was initially going to be one half storage and one half of gallery. Mm-hmm. And the closer we got to actually doing something, the smaller the storage got and the bigger the gallery got. So we just put on our running shoes around August of 2023, when we started our 501c3 application. That's a long process. It's about to wrap up now. And along the way, Peter, I mean, he understates his role. But Peter said yes to our inquiry. Would you lead this?
Didn't I say no a couple times?
You did not. Peter.
Okay.
And for months after that, people would stop me in town and said, "How'd you get Peter?" And I didn't get Peter. We just asked him. I think maybe it was a timing thing, a stage of life thing. But I mean, there's nobody in the county more qualified than Peter to lead this organization and this operation.
Thank you.
It's just been a thrill, really.
Well, and it interested me too, Johnny, because one of the things that struck me as I looked at how this came together, and I looked at Johnny Pridgen and the legacy of your family. This fits so perfectly with that legacy of giving back, that legacy of caring for the community. How do you feel about this? And is it coming to the fruition that you thought it would?
Thank you, JW. The legacy of my family was just to help the community, and everything. They got involved into the so-called crisis center. And from the crisis center, we evolved into Samson Partners. Upon the acquisition of this property here, we were very fortunate under the leadership of Dr. Viser here to look at this vision of providing something for the community in a creative way where people can express themselves and continue on. And thanks to his vision there and working with him, it's been a great pleasure to see this come about. This provides an opportunity for people to come in and take a look at art. Art is one of those type of things from an expression standpoint. There is an individual type thing. So people can come in, and we got a lot of creative individuals in this county, and everything. So we're just very pleased to have been part of this to provide this opportunity for the young citizens and senior citizens here in this county.
Paul,
JW, I gotta add something. I knew that Johnny would understate his role and his family's role. That's Johnny's personality, to understate. But let me tell you, his dad was well known and well respected in this community. He was a minister. He on a personal level had a prison ministry that became part of his children, Johnny and his siblings. He was on the original board of Samson Crisis Center in 1986. We're Samson Partners now. It's just a name change. It started with Johnny's dad. And we just have to acknowledge that the reason we're able to do this and have done this art gallery, it started then because we're just running a thrift shop, but it's running well. People give us their old things. We keep our expenses low. We have money left over at the end of the month. We give money away to anything that consistent with the Christian mission in the county, Samson County. And we're able to do expansive things like this. This is really big. It all started with the Samson Crisis Center, now Samson Partners. It's just unbelievable. We don't have fundraisers. We don't ask people to donate. We just run the thrift shop, and we can do a lot of things with that. It's amazing.
Peter, you've been here for like 3 decades. What does Paul's statement say about the community? That was a bold statement when he said, we pay our expenses, pay all the bills, and we have money left over. That's huge today in today's world.
It sure is. And what these two have achieved with Samson Partners is remarkable. It's a wonderful service to the community. It's generated some resources to let this happen. So it's just kind of shocking. A year ago, our friend Lisa mentioned, she says to me, Paul's, interested in opening a gallery. And I just thought, well, that's kind of crazy. How could that work? Well, this is how it works. There's some extraordinary work here. We're selling some work. And so one thing has led to another with the vision of these two guys. And there's lots of people in this town who care greatly about Clinton and have invested in it. We've all seen that in the last 35 years, from the downtown to projects like this. So this is a special place, and it's a gas to be a part of.
And I think, Paul, to your commentary about Johnny, I'm going to say about you, oftentimes it's hard to get you to accept the reality that you are a community leader here and that you have made a lot of things happen. And these guys are doing the head up and down thing when I'm saying this. And that's important because there's always that person that Peter backed me up on this, that is not going to back away. He's going to keep coming back to you, is he not?
His will is too strong. He seems to be civil. He seems to be genteel, but he follows through, and he gets great work out of his people, and he brings people in, and things get done. It's extraordinary.
And I think a lot of it is the connectivity with the community. Paul, in your career, you have seen people face to face, inside out. You know what this community is made up of from a very visceral level. You understand this community. To have the two folks on each side of you with you as we go through this art gallery is huge. And I think when I look at the trio in front of me, it's almost like I want to call you a band or something. I don't know, but I'd like to just see this trilogy right here go forward and change and continue to change in a positive way the community. So as we start this process today, I want to kind of explain to folks as you're standing here, we're going to be moving around the gallery for the next few parts of the show. And Peter, we're going to weigh heavily on your input in identifying and understanding what's going on. And these guys, along with me, are going to be talking about what we're seeing with the artwork. Folks, we'll be back in just a moment. Stay tuned. We're going to be looking at some of the artwork in this beautiful gallery here in downtown Clinton.
Experiencing slow internet? If you have a fast internet package, the problem is most likely your wireless router. With more devices using Wi-Fi, your wireless router may not be able to deliver the speed and coverage you need. We now have the leading solution to enhance your internet experience. Using small devices in a mesh network, these Wi-Fi appliances cover just about any size home so that all your devices can operate to their fullest potential. Whole home Wi-Fi from Star Communications. Get the most out of your internet connection.
If you run a business, you need sales. To get sales, you need customers. To get customers, you need exposure. Let our team of experts craft and produce the perfect video ad to reach your intended audience while making the most of your advertising dollars. Call 1-800-706-6538 or visit starcom.net to contact our Star Communications production team and get your business moving to the next level.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We Should Know's on the air. I want to thank you for being with us today. We're in the studio, downtown Clinton, Artworks. Peter Butler to my right, Johnny Pridgen, and Dr. Paul Viser on the end. Paul Viser, I want to go back to you. When we go to the first segment, there were some things you wanted to get in, and I want to just let you touch on that for a moment before Peter begins to talk to us about the artwork.
Thank you, JW. I just wanted to emphasize that we are a team. There's no question about it. We're going in the same direction, but we do different things. There's not a whole lot of overlap in what we do. Johnny is the money man, and he receives money, he disperses money, and most importantly, he generates about 25 pages of financial documents every month. And that's critical. And I call myself that because I don't have a name for myself, so I just call myself the logistician. I'm the director of logistics, and I do what other people don't have a definition for. Now, Peter, it's been our goal from the very first that Peter not only is our art director, but he's everything about the art. I mean, any art decision goes through Peter, and we depend on that. The very first day, I mean, within, I think, 24 hours of Peter agreeing to be our art director, this was months ago, and this building was just being started, the renovation. And we had on the floor plan studio spots for art students and artists, and part of it was going to be a gallery, a big part of it was going to be storage. And Peter just walked through here and did this and said, no, this is too beautiful. Everything needs to be the gallery. And we did it just like that.
It takes that collective. So, Paul, when I look at Peter, I'm thinking with his background, not only as a competitive swimmer, but particularly in the arts, that it comes together. And when I look at some of his paintings, and we're going to look at some of his paintings shortly, but right now I want him to talk a bit about, Peter, if you will, some of the things that we see behind us here in this part of the gallery, which is important. We're going to be moving around in different parts of the gallery, but just kind of touch on some of the things that hit you and the reason that you kind of got it hanging where you have it, what impressed you with it, what folks may, a sample of what folks may be when they actually walk through that door and start looking around.
Yeah, well, the brick walls we have reserved for larger work that we got in. And I kind of think of this segment as Murderer's Row, in that there's some really wonderful work by some very serious, productive artists here. There's work by Sampson County artists, and I've reached out to Wilmington and Raleigh and beyond to get some other artists in here. Well, let's talk about a couple. And I know we'll be getting some close-ups of some of these, but Pam Toll is a full-time artist working in Wilmington. She also teaches, but she's a very productive artist. This is one of a series of tree pictures that she did working on Bald Head Island. There's an art colony that she helped found years ago, and they get out there every couple of years and work for a couple of weeks. And it's a wonderful, wonderful project. And Pam works in pastel and acrylic wash in this case, and is kind of a shoot from the hip kind of painter. There's a great energy to how she moves, and I've watched her work, and she engages the whole body when she's putting down marks, and she's standing up and she's moving around, and it's oppressive to see. A very old friend of mine, and we're very happy to have some of her work in the gallery. There's a large piece down the way here that viewers will get to see. It's again a very larger than this pastel of tree trunks and some undergrowth, again from some of the landscapes that are available when you're hiking around Bald Head Island. And Pam works in all kinds of mediums and all kinds of subject matter. These tree paintings of hers are some of my favorites. So
the colors in just for example, from an artist's point of view, how important is it as far as the identity of the artist to look at specific colors that may be more predominant? Does Pam normally do more in the pastels?
She's a very fine colorist. Generally, the colors you're using are just what's ever in the box, and you're, in her case, there is an appeal to naturalism, which is an art word for making things, rendering things as they appear in nature. So that's not quite the same as realism. Naturalism is more about evoking the light that we see when we're outside. And so how do you do that? Well, you only do that with colors and paint and pastel. And so Pam is not shy about using strong colors. These are somewhat muted, and the grays and the browns of the trunks themselves, I think, are very striking and let some of the greens and yellows sing. So Pam's just very talented with her hand and how she puts down lines, and there's always a vigorous energy to all of her work, and that's one of the things I admire about it. And we're really happy to have her in the gallery.
And in that particular painting is surrounded by numerous other paintings here. Kind of touch on some of those.
Sure. To my right here is a canvas by Mark Weber, who's an artist who works in Wilmington as well. We've got several works of his around the gallery. Mm-hmm. This is a very whimsical portrayal of the Cape Fear Bridge, one of the bridges down in Wilmington. And when one is alerted to that, you can kind of recognize some of the elements.
Absolutely.
And Mark works with such brevity and confidence. I mean, this looks like it was just easy to do. And he makes it look easy. We've got several things around here. Very talented guy. We've got several things of his around the gallery. Maybe we'll see some more of his. But I find this just absolutely joyful and fun.
Absolutely.
And easy. And it's just easy to like. And that's a wonderful quality for art to have.
Yeah, I'm picking up on looking at that. Johnny, I don't know whether you are or not, but I'm standing here looking at that, and I'm trying to remember a view from one of the restaurants on the boardwalk there as you look at the bridge and seeing cars go by.
Yeah, exactly. It looks wonderful in terms of depiction of that environment there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can recognize it. It's very whimsical, almost childlike, you know. Mm-hmm. It looks. And Mark has also had a career of illustrating books and does some very whimsical watercolors and penning drawings for some children's books, and he has a successful career doing that as well.
An interesting contrast for me is when I look at that and then I look at the painting beside of that, it's like your mind automatically has to go into another gear.
Oh yeah, no, you go from one painting to the next in here, and it's a radical change, and that is
so. When you hung these, did you have that in mind for the viewer to be able to go, a complete different movement, so it's not all just kind of one thing?
I did. There's also a lot of situations here where we've put artists' work, side by side, a couple together to create a unity.
Yeah,
I call it. But we mixed it up quite a bit, and I'm rethinking how we might redo some of this. But that painting at the end, we have several paintings here by Ben Knight, who's a professional artist and a restaurateur in the area. And he's had a lot of success with these paintings because I'm in a couple of galleries where he also shows his work. I have work in galleries where he also has work. And Ben has found a real audience, and he gets pretty good money for them. And it's acrylic resin paint. It's shiny, and I'm not quite sure how he does that, but they look awfully quick and energetic. And they kind of sit like, again, a couple more of Ben Knight's works. You walk in the room and you see these from across the space, and they look like exclamation points. There's an energy to it, and a pow and bang, which is a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
And so we don't have a lot of abstract work in here. Most of the work we have in here is representational, but we do have a few pieces by artists that are non-representational, and Ben's a good example of that.
One of the things I want to mention too is folks, as you go around and look in this particular gallery, you're not only going to see art as far as paintings, but you're going to see art as far as figurines, as far as pottery and all of those kinds of things there. And as I look at that, I'm standing here and I'm cautiously looking at this particular work here. There are some very hefty, pricey works in here. So when you come to the museum, just remember, if you got kids, just kind of be careful because we don't want to damage anything. Just kind of speak to that one.
Sure. That's by a ceramic artist who lives in Wilmington, a longtime acquaintance of mine. Her name is Gail Tustin, and she's got a big ceramic studio in Wilmington, and she has also got quite a few other objects in the gallery. I can't speak to the technical terms that she uses to describe her process or some of the glazes that she uses. We do have some labeling in the gallery on other works of hers here that do describe that process. And we've got some smaller vessels of hers that are around the gallery. They're my favorites of Gail's, and we'll get to see those with some figurative elements, and they're just gorgeous. And we do have to be careful walking around this.
Absolutely.
You're right.
Absolutely. I think when I look at it and think about the quick walk we're doing today, I just want to remind folks that you really need to come here and take a physical walkthrough of this gallery. And we're going to be talking about the opening hours, Paul Viser. We're going to talk about that when they can come, if those hours may change. But as we move around this museum, Johnny and Paul we're going to kind of pepper Peter Butler here with some more questions about some of this artwork, because although we may be kind of lay art supporters, this guy knows the depth of it, and I want to make sure that we cover that. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we kind of go to break here, I want to remind you that stay with us. We're walking around the art gallery, artworks here in downtown Clinton with three people that's made it happen with your support and the support of the art community. We'll be back.
Computer viruses, malware, and ransomware are out there. They're dangerous, and they can steal your identity and damage your equipment. Star Communications is now offering Protect IQ. The service adds an extra layer of protection to every device connected to your network, working quietly in the background. Star can help you protect yourself from the inside out with Protect IQ. Call Star today and take advantage of this free service when you sign up for whole home Wi-Fi with Star Communications.
How can your friend save you money? It's easy. Refer a relative, coworker, neighbor, or friend to Star Communications. Friend signs up for high-speed internet service. Friend's new account is confirmed. Friend gives your name to our service representative as the one who referred them to Star. You receive a $30 internet credit. It's just that simple. And even better, receive a $30 internet credit for every referral that results in a new confirmed account. High-speed internet from Star Communications. Refer a friend today.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We should know is on site at Artworks in downtown Clinton, Johnny Pridgen, Dr. Paul Viser, and Peter Butler. Peter, thank you for doing what you're doing. We're actually moving around the gallery today, and Johnny and Paul and I are kind of questioning you on some of the artwork that you so well know and understand. And we're in a part of the museum now that's actually kind of changing to some more vivid, bright colors. Tell us, why hang these here, the importance of it from what you see from an artist's point of view.
Well, it's like a jigsaw puzzle. When we get the work in, figuring out where we're going to put work and what works and what works well together with the work that's hanging next to it. So it's not completely random. We try to have work that speaks to the work next to it, but it's also always provides quite a contrast from styles and the look and so on. A painting we've got right behind you here by Kristen Gibson is an artist that we have, and we've got probably now 15 or 20 of her works, including many small, rapid acrylic sketches of flowers that are just terrific. Kristen is a prolific and successful artist from Durham, North Carolina. I've known her for years. I own work by her. I should disclose that. I'm very happy to say that. And she, again, this is another painter who works very quickly. That's acrylic on canvas. And she regularly does the subject matter that's interiors of her own house, of flowers or objects on the table, or a view of part of the kitchen table, which I think that describes that pretty well. And they're joyous and they're easy to like. And that energy of hers, I think there's a lesson in her paintings. Her paintings say to all of us other painters, why are you working so hard? Because she seems to be having a blast the whole process. And it's a good lesson for all of us painters who maybe get bogged down at times.
I think it's interesting with her too that she's willing to show her personal space.
Yeah, it's very intimate that way. Yeah, and I've wondered why she doesn't add the human figure into some of her works, and I've written her emails to that effect, and she completely ignores me. So, and I think she will continue to do that.
An artist's prerogative.
Well, it is, and she knows what she's doing, so she doesn't need advice from anybody. But I'm a big fan of her works, and there's quite a few of her works around the gallery. So when visitors come, they'll get to see quite a selection from small to larger scale. And people have really liked them. We've sold work of hers, and people have really enjoyed her. She seems to be one of the favorites for the viewers that come in here. Speaking of another artist now, this is a work by Paris Alexander, who is a lifetime career sculptor out of Raleigh, and we've got a couple of his pieces in the gallery. His main thing is public art. He does large stone carvings for public art projects, and Paris has been hired to do a large public art piece for a Sampson County project. The Cohary Indian Center is happening and being put together, and it's a very exciting project. I don't know if I've named the project with the correct title, but it is inside Sampson County, and he's been hired to do a large stone carving, perhaps of a feather of some kind. I've seen work of his in that same scale and key, and I think he was a wonderful choice for that. So Paris, we're lucky to get some of his small pieces in here. We also have a drawing of his that we've displayed on the other side of the gallery.
Now, just switching to that for a moment with art pieces that's out of stone, we're moving to a whole other dynamic of ability and tools and those kinds of things.
Yes, we are. And in this space with lots of paintings, when you get physical, three-dimensional work, sculpture, ceramic art, we're going to get, we've got pottery in the front of the gallery. It adds a whole nother dimension to the experience in here. And yes, this is a whole nother world. And I love sculpture, and we've got some other sculpture that viewers will be able to see. We've got some other sculpture from a Wilmington artist, Marshall Milton, who's got some steel stuff right around the corner here that maybe we can get some footage of. But it adds a wonderful kind of contrast to the two-dimensional work here. And yeah, this is a different world. And that's a whole different set of skills and viewpoint.
I think the contrast.
I want to interject here, because if I don't say this, it won't be said. And that is this piece of art right here.
Absolutely. Does it remind you of someone?
It does. And he's dressed so much like Peter likes to dress. And this is a self-portrait from our art director. And I twisted his arm to have it here for our opening night on May 2nd. I love this piece. This is oil on acrylic.
Oil on panel. Yeah,
and and he has another self-portrait elsewhere in the gallery.
Absolutely.
And he's smoking. Now, Peter doesn't smoke. He was a varsity athlete at UNC, but he is holding a cigarette in another self-portrait, and that's oil on canvas.
That is, yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it just shows the variety, don't it, Johnny, when we look at the different kinds of things here.
I want to know, Peter, basically, how did you encase this right here? Did you do this?
Yes, I did. It's kind of a shadow box setup, and it needed protection because that oil on plexiglass is kind of a fragile surface. So there's another piece of plexiglass in front of it, offset by an inch or so.
Okay.
Yeah. So, that was fun to do. Glasses of scotch and cigarettes are just props, and very good props for extending the meaning or the mood of the picture. So that was a self-conscious sort of choice, and kind of fun to do. So,
Peter, you were going to mention the work behind you too with the multi-colors. And the other thing I'm interested in, if you would speak to that as it relates to the contrast with this piece that's sitting here.
Yeah, this is a pretty aggressive color here. Acid blues, I call them phthalo blue, ultramarine, and then a very strong yellow, lemon yellow, cadmium yellow. What's going on here with the form and the scene is a very instinctual sort of perspective. It's not a mathematical perspective. It's kind of hard to tell where we are in this space. These forms seem close to us. There's a horizon there. That's far away. Houses far away. So you get a sense of space. You get a sense of close and far away. But I think the first impact, the optical flash that this provides, is about the color.
Yeah.
Like you say, and your eye goes to it. And it's kind of aggressive and in your face a little bit. And then you start looking at the pieces, and there's some kind of fragile and nervous applications of paint here. These aren't brush strokes. He's using all kinds of methods to get paint to the surface, and it's interesting. So it provides all kinds of effects.
You see a lot of movement there as well.
A lot of movement. I agree. Yeah. There's, the eye comes in and, everybody's eye is going to do something different, but you see these curves and the eye likes to follow curves and it goes around a couple times in the painting. Jonathan Summit, I don't know if I've said his name or not, Jonathan Summit from Wilmington. And we've got quite a few paintings here of his. People have liked them and we've sold a few of his as well. So, and you mentioned the sculpture.
Absolutely.
I love this. This is one of my favorite pieces in the gallery. Paul, I know you liked it too. We talked about this.
Well, this first showed locally at the Arts Council.
That's
reception.
right. Jeff Williams is a sculptor in Salemburg, and I think of his work as folk art. That's not to categorize it, and it's certainly not a negative term in any way. There's just a kind of a literal quality to how he presents a subject. And this is carved wood and paint, and they're weirdly inexpensive. And Jeff's an interesting guy, and he never shows up at his receptions. He had a one-man show at the Arts Council, and then we had his work here. He's a no-show because he just does his own thing. But this is I've just got a wonderful impact. It's happy.
I wanted you to speak to it because if somebody comes in, I don't want them to overlook that because it does have kind of an impact once you start looking at it. For me, I guess at my point in life, there's something relatable there. I don't know what it is, but there's something relatable.
Yeah, no, and you have an immediate kind of reaction to people come around the corner, see this, and they smile. And it's easy to like. It's charming. It feels kind of primitive, but not a self-conscious kind of primitive. It seems very natural. And we have another couple other sculptures of his here at Artworks that folks can see as well.
And these artworks, Johnny, as we're moving around, I know you're looking at things as well with us as we're having this conversation, but there's just so many pieces. I want to make sure folks understand that you've got to come here. You have got to come here to see what we're giving you little small tidbits of.
I agree. You've got to see the work in person. It has a whole different impact. So, another artist I wanted to showcase here is Paula Fitzpatrick, who's been producing art in this county for more than 40 years and very productive and does a lot of wildlife art. And this is a wonderful landscape, beautifully painted. We've sold some of her work as well. People have really responded to her. That is a Virginia landscape, she told me. And there's quite a few of her pieces here to see. So
yeah, that's definitely western part of Virginia. I can see the western part of North Carolina. I don't know about you guys, but I was standing here thinking about the bridge.
Yeah. I think
I can relate to this.
I love this. Yeah, and she's just masterful with paint and the brush. And again, a Clinton artist who's sold much work and been all over the country selling her work. And we're really happy to have what she's done.
It's just interesting to me when I look at that. I see a lot of the shadow lines that she's put in there. And it's almost like you can see the sun kind of moving or clouds moving over the sun, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I have 3 of her pieces in my waiting room.
There you go.
I love this.
Yeah, Paul is special, very talented.
Well, there's a sense of tranquility there too. I mean, it's like restful peace, relaxation. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, and one more artist from Raleigh, Sheila Hall, who's got some small abstract work here that we're very, very fond of. And she's shows work around the state. And I just met her for the first time when this gallery came together. Very exciting to meet some of this new talent in the area.
Absolutely. We're coming up on last part of the show, and one of the things, Paul, to follow your commentary about Peter, I want to kind of, if we can, move to some of those areas and some of your work, which is pretty cool in my opinion. It's pretty magnificent when I look at it because you've done a lot of relatable kinds of things, especially as it relates to water and some of our well-known animals in the area. So,
that's right.
We're going to transition and go to another part of the studio. Stay with us. Call a friend. We should know. Be back for the last part of the show.
Providing fewer commutes, more backyard offices, and crystal clear meetings. Providing less, you froze up, and more presence in your presentations. Providing a better internet experience. Providing possible.
You're out for an evening on the town. Finally a chance to relax and forget that you left your front door completely unlocked. Fortunately, you just installed a security system from Star Communications. With just your cell phone, you can check on your house, lock it down, light it up, and get back to relaxing.
You forgot to put Buster in his crate.
Unfortunately, we can't help with that. Security and automation from Star Communications. Call today to find out more.
Welcome to Cork and Brew Roseboro, where you can enjoy your favorite coffee, fraps, smoothies, bakery items, sandwiches, and select beer and wines while reconnecting with friends and family. Sit down and enjoy the experience. Come on by and give us a try.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The last part of the show is coming up. My name is J.W. Simmons, your host. It's been my pleasure to be with you today on site at the Artworks in downtown Clinton. To my left, to your right, as you're looking at the screen, is three people that has made this happen. And one of them is Dr. Paul Viser to my left. The other, on the other side of Peter, is Johnny Pridgen. And at the center of these three gentlemen is Peter Butler, who is not only an artist, but I'm going to title you, Peter, as the curator of this particular gallery. So I'm giving you a new title. I think you've been referred to as the director, but for some reason I like curator. I don't know. Look up the definition. It fits you perfectly. So I want to continue today of looking at some of the work that's in the museum. And as Johnny and Paul and I, we're going to try to make some questions come up to not necessarily challenge Peter, but to highlight some things we're seeing that you want to get on camera before we go to close. So, Peter, I'm going to go back to you, and we're in another segment of the museum here, or I keep calling it museum gallery, that has different kinds of artworks. And I'm fascinated here at the contrast of what I'm seeing of the different kind of art.
There's quite a contrast here because we've got quick painted abstract work that's very bright and bold. And then we've got something like this piece of wildlife art by Keith Simmons of a monkey, and done some years ago. And Keith's got several samples here. This is, if you get to see this in person, you'll see that you can pick out the individual hairs of the animal. And that in itself is not necessarily virtue. Painting relies on all kinds of factors to be good or successful, I believe. But this is wonderful.
The detail is amazing.
The detail is amazing. The craft work, when you get to see this in person, the surface has got tremendous energy. You see the brushwork, and he had some interesting stories about doing this. So we're really happy to have that. But it certainly contrasts with some of the other work in here. There's quite the variety here. We also wanted to mention we've got some jewelers here, some handmade jewelry.
Yes, we do, Peter. If you could describe what we do have, we do have two beautiful cases of jewelry, which has been some hot selling items, you know.
Yes, they have. They've gotten a lot of good looks. We've got handmade jewelry from Mitzi Junkier of Wilmington, and we have some Salemburg artist, Melanie Maxwell, who has another case full of work. So there's all kinds of things to look at here. This sculpture is by a Wilmington artist, Michael Van Hout is his name. He is a journeyman sculptor. He's hardcore. He's full-time, a longtime acquaintance, and I would say friend of mine. And he's got a beautiful studio down at the Acme Studio warehouse in North Wilmington. And that is called Garden Muse. It's plated copper. It's got a copper steel armature, I believe, inside of it. It's about life size and impresses everybody. So we love that. Michael also has a couple of paintings here, so that can be found when you.
Matter of fact, Peter, also this was on our opening night. This was a very admired piece of work right here. You know, a lot of people just stood in awe of this item.
And it continues to be. So,
Peter, I just got to say, I just love being here. I mean, we've talked about some individual techniques and pieces of art, but I just like hanging out here. It's my second best place to be. The first being my woodworking shop, my basement. It was the reason we moved into that house a long time ago. But I love being in this space. And I love the people who come in here.
Yeah.
They're not in a hurry. They're not getting a Coke and a pack of nabs. They want an experience, and they get it.
They get an experience.
They do.
like JW said, there's something about art that brings out a stillness in us and a humanity, and the arts do this, and it does it one painting at a time with you, the individual viewer, and so it's a wonderful place to be. I agree.
Well, it just is, and we get people all across the region, and of all ages, all kinds of people. We're open 4 days a week, as you know. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday from 11 to 6, and then Saturday 11 to 4. And if we've done some private showings in certain cases. I know we had one business was recruiting somebody, and they thought that they would be sold on Clinton if they came by here. So we opened it up on Saturday night and showed it to them.
That's right.
And we're looking forward to our event rentals. We have 2 on the books in the next 60 days, and we're just tickled to death to use this space and have more people experience it the way we have.
I think one of the things I want to speak to very quickly too is that a lot of art, and especially when we get into this kind of thing with the Garden Muse here, people use this for interior design for like large office buildings and so forth. They can use this for actually their office spaces.
Absolutely, and that's a great idea to pursue some eyeballs in here and get some interest in the work. If you go to a big city like Raleigh, when there's public money being used for buildings, there is a mandated % for art that goes into it. We don't have that here in Sampson County. We shouldn't have that here, I don't think. But it's part of the thinking of corporate America. And, if you've been to a hospital in the last 35 years, there's a lot of original art on hospital walls. And that's a new thing, just in the last generation or so. And I think that's wonderful. And what that does for that environment, for patients and families.
Absolutely. Johnny, I think you had the comment.
Yeah, I do. Doc didn't mention the fact that that he took the time out and built 4 beautiful panels here, which are movable, and everything, which a lot of the art hangs on. And I just want to let Doc know that he got another skill after he maybe retired from the medical profession.
And that could be seen as an artwork as well. There's a certain amount of art in that. I mean, it's not just merit.
Yeah.
Well, I put wheels on them. That's very important because we see the use of this space being malleable, and it can change completely. We could nest every one of these panels in a corner, and we could probably play basketball in here if somebody wanted to do that.
It's a huge space.
We don't intend to do that, but it might come up. We can do about anything you can imagine in this space.
Yeah. Peter, I want you to speak to some of your work as well. And one of the things that strikes me, I'm looking at a large painting here, and this is yours. The name of it is Jenny. Yeah. And when I look at that, I'm thinking pool, water, diving board, and it kind of so complements your background as a competitive swimmer.
Well, I get there's a relationship there in my background, but I like the subject of swimmers, and not necessarily where they're straining to swim competitively, but in relaxed sort of vacation mode. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a joyful subject and an easy subject to find, to identify with. My presentation of the subject is usually just as simple as it could be, like a featureless background. There's just nothing there. There's just one color. And that particular image I've recycled a number of times over the years. People have liked it, so I've done large ones and medium size, and that's about as large as I've done it. And I like her anonymity and her, she's in her own world. Mm-hmm. She's not aware of us, the viewer. So she's not giving a thought to us. We don't know what she's thinking. Her back's to us. So maybe that's a little odd for some people, but I just thought that the pose had meaning for me. But it's very simple. She's just a symbol of one being in one's own thoughts. And, symbols have different meanings to different people. So the viewer can sort of make of it what they will.
And I think that's what art does for us. So it requires us to think. Sometimes we need to add what this means to us, which could be, between Johnny and I could be 2 different things. Sure. He may see that brought out, particularly in some of the water kind of related paintings that you've done.
Yeah. Swimmer's been a great subject for me, and people have liked it. Thank goodness.
All right, Peter, people have liked it. I'll bet you there are at least 25 homes in Sampson County that have I don't know if you consider it a series, but that color palette and the water. I have a large painting of yours in this series in our foyer. That's a special place in a home to put it in the foyer, and that was before I even really knew you.
I appreciate it.
I did it based on the painting and not you.
Yeah.
I think there are probably 25 people in the county who have. This has been a popular series.
I've done a few of them, and it's good to have income for food and medicine. So I guess I keep doing them. But if people have liked them, and I've showed them all over, and some large and some small. So it's been fun.
I want to kind of bring some things out here as we kind of move toward closure of the show today. Peter, you've been doing a great job, and I think Johnny and Paul will agree in kind of explaining to us some of the depth and artwork here. I want to make sure that if somebody says, well, I want to reach out and find Peter Butler, how do I do that? And are there times that you're here at the gallery versus other times? If somebody thought, well, I want to pop by, wonder if Peter's there. Are you here at certain times, or you just pop in periodically?
I'm in and out. I'm not here on a regular basis, but I seem to be here on a somewhat regular basis. People, if they're interested in showing some work, I would be happy to look at it, and they need to get in touch with me through the gallery. They can come in, and my contact information is available right here.
That sounds great. We're down to the last few seconds here. I want to give each one of you a quick comment. Go to closure, Johnny.
Yes, we didn't mention about the location to a certain degree. It's 306 Van Street here. In this beautiful building that took us about 6 months to have renovated through HN Card. And we really appreciate the work that they did on this particular building.
Thank you, Johnny. Quick moment. I don't know what Paul can do a quick moment. I'm not going to.
JW, that could be said of you.
Yeah.
No, I think we've covered it.
Yeah, absolutely. Peter, I'm going to bring you to close.
Well, the sky's the limit on our mission and what we're going to be doing here. We look forward to showing some great art here. We hope folks will come take a look at it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're coming to closer today. I want to remind you of the three folks we're talking to today. And of course, Peter Butler, who is the curator of the museum, an artist himself, Dr. Paul Viser, and Johnny Pridgen, who has taken this on as a project and brought people in from the community to make this happen. It's been a pleasure to be with you today, and we look forward to seeing you every Tuesday at 2:30, 7 p.m. Also, Tuesday, Thursday. My name is J.W. Simmons, and as always, may God bless.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of We Should Know with host J.W. Simmons. If you have a question, comment, or suggestion regarding this or any episode, please send your emails to weshouldknowedu@gmail.com. And remember to tune in every Tuesday at 2:30 for another informative episode of We Should Know.